Senators Bato, Dela Rosa, and Senator Bong Go wanting a parallel investigation in the Senate. What should we expect from that? Does it make sense? And why are they playing this card?
I think it's a desperate move to counter the effectiveness of the Quadcom hearings. But here's the thing. Both Senator Bato, De La Rosa, and Senator Bongo do not have the right to investigate an issue wherein both of them are principals. So that's a clear conflict of interest. So I think a better alternative to this would be the Committee of the Whole, wherein the Senate President would be the presiding officer. That way, that would remove any doubts about the partiality of the committee. So you cannot use a committee in order to try to protect yourself or to defend yourself.
They say they can likely get the former president to attend the hearing.
But again, all of these actions are basically an afterthought. They had the opportunity, the time to investigate these things if they're really interested into ferreting out the truth, but they didn't lift a finger. But now that the Quadcom hearings are closing in on them, and then here comes this proposal to investigate.
So would you be open, or would you want to hear them out in those hearings, just as long as the Senate President is a presiding officer?
I would totally do away with that because, again, the Quadcom hearings are already effective. You can only come in if you feel that the other house, the lower house in this case, is not effective or is going into a different direction that is detrimental to the interests of the country, the truth, and justice. But they're going into that direction. So what's the point?
The allegations haven't been proven, though. I mean, I know it's all these bombshell revelations, but let's remember that they've also not been proven. And I was wondering what was going through your mind when you heard Rowena Garma giving her testimony, giving her affidavit. I mean, you've been looking into cases against the Dutertes as far back as 2017, right?
Let's just say that this is another spiritual epiphany, if you may call that, or an act of survival, or in my case, when I saw that, it's just how God's plan unfolded. And it's similar to my experience with the transformation of Mr. Las Cañas. Remember, when he first appeared in the Senate, he was a cold witness. It really reflected that he's really a cold-blooded killer. But then, after just 2 months, I met with him again, and he completely transformed.
You haven't met with Rowena Garma?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. That's a bit
Earlier-
of a cliffhanger. Are you planning
Not
to
yet.
meet with her? Is
Well,
there a plan to meet her?
It's not necessary.
Okay. But do you know her?
I know her by reputation because we included her already in our communication with the ICC back in 2017. All of these things were revealed already by
Pero wala
Mr.
siya
Las
doon
Cañas.
sa parang 5 bibigyan ng warrants of arrest na policemen.
No. Sila kasi, the 5 were given, were elevated as suspects. But when we gave the communication back in 2017, both Leonardo and Garma were already there. Okay. And the whole Davao template to be elevated into the national operations, these are exactly the same words of Sergeant Las Cañas.
Okay,
So,
how does this
yeah.
change the ICC case? Earlier on our sister program, Storycon, they were able to talk to Attorney Christina Conti, Assistant to Counsel Christina Conti. But in your opinion, how do you see this moving things forward? Or does it help the case in any way? Or does it open more avenues?
I think as far as the crimes against humanity case is concerned, the testimony of Colonel Garma completes the picture. So that will get them over any obstacle or any hindrance to the filing of a warrant. Now, the concern about whether this evidence would be needed to be transmitted to the ICC, remember the ICC investigators are not amateurs. They can get all this information. And so these things don't need to be officially handed out to them. So they can get the information that they need.
So what did delay the warrant? I think last we heard you mentioned around November. It's about to come out based on new evidence that has come to light or new testimonies. Would this further delay it or make it faster, exacerbate it?
I think it's going to be the same because the application is just the application. Then it's going to be the pretrial chamber who will decide whether to grant that application. And that will take probably a month and a half.
Sen, what happens if they don't issue an arrest warrant? Because we like to talk about, a lot of people are talking about the ICC like their big brother who's going to come and fix things. But if you look at what's happening in Israel, I mean, the prosecutor, the same prosecutor who's looking at the Duterte drug war, Karim Khan, filed a resolution to have an arrest order out for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in May. And to this day, the pretrial chamber has not acted on it, despite the widespread destruction of Gaza. So on the other side of it, what if the ICC never comes? What then?
Okay, here's the thing. The ICC is not the only legal option to make these people accountable. We also have domestic cases, and I heard Asek Labano talking about those things. And once, or whichever comes first, if the arrest warrant from the domestic cases would come out first, then that closes the door on the ICC because of the complementarity rule.
Do you have enough faith in this administration that they will see through the investigation to the end if something is proven true?
We can choose to be cynical about life.
Or we can be positive.
Yeah. I'm a fatalist. I believe when the time is come, whether it's through the ICC or the DOJ. And let me qualify that. The domestic cases would focus on murder cases, not the crimes against humanity case in general. And we already have a law for that, the Republic Act 9851, which defined the crimes against humanity. But we'll have to wait for the DOJ, and it's going to be a very long process. I think the ICC already had a head start in that regard. So it's just a matter of weeks, hopefully.
Well, Senator, the period under investigation in the ICC is from November 1, 2011 to March 16, 2019.
Yes.
And right smack in the middle of that is the mayoralty of Vice President Sara Duterte. And actually, put to light now is her use of intelligence funds back in 2022. Pati yung 2010 to 2013, very, very curious to know. I mean, is her name being brought up in all of this?
Yes, she was already mentioned by Arturo Las Cañas. When they, well, remember, these are the original Davao Death Squad. They started back in 1988. They started killing people. Then, nung nagpalit si Duterte, the father, and si Sara, nung 2010, humingi sila ng sabi ni Digong, magpaalam kayo kay Sara kung pwede pa ituloy. So nagpaalam sila kay Sara kung pwede pa ituloy yung EJ case or salvaging nung panahon na ang term. Sinabi niya, sige, gawin nyo, pero wag nyo patayin dun sa mga kalye, dukutin nyo, patayin nyo dun sa salvage area.
To be clear, who is niya? Sinabi ni na po.
Sinabi ni Sara Duterte. So nagpaalam sila. So that's on the affidavit of Las Cañas. Nung nag-testify si Las Cañas sa ICC, sinabi niya yon. Kaya it's on the record. Ngayon, well, I'd be honest, in the sense na, we still need corroborative evidence for that. Kaya I'm quite pessimistic na mahahabol si Sara Duterte sa ICC role. But in light of the testimony of Rina Garma, I'm quite confident baka pati si Bongo and Bato masasama.
Ano yung sense ninyo nun sa, ngayon kasi yung topic is, nagamit ba itong mga confidential or intelligence funds, no, pang fund ng mga rewards sa drug war? Ano yung sense nyo doon? Mapoprove ba yun? Kasi nga, by their very nature, hindi sila masyadong ino-audit. All they can say is, nagastos ng ganitong ilang araw, di ba?
Okay. Doon sa na-investigate namin, when they were in Davao, nagamit yon. Kasi si Matobato, meron siyang actual na mga payslip na doon kinukuha sa confidential funds yung allowance niya. And ang role niya is to kill people. Ganon din sila Cañas, they get extra allowances through the confidential funds ng Davao City Mayor. And ano yan yung kay Sara, itong last 3 years niya, 2.7 billion yun ang total. Then, before that, yung kay Duterte, the father, 700 million a year yun. So, they've been using that as part nung reward system na ginagawa.
I'm very curious about the personality of Mary Ann Maslog, yung isang resource person na ikinagalit ni Senator Bato Dela Rosa na sinasabi niya ipinadala daw ng administrasyon to get Alice Go to pin Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, and former President with the Pogos implicating them. I mean, what would you have to say to that? Kasi para sa akin siya yung medyo nagsistick out from all the other resource persons. She has a different
Have you heard
account.
of her before?
Yeah.
I mean, may kaso na kasi siya before and she also has 2 identities.
Ganito, no? Yung sinasabi ni Bato na si Maslog will implicate them, sa kanya lang nanggaling yon. And I think that's a misdirection. But I also agree, itong highly suspicious din yung role ni Maslog in all of these things. I believe nagkaroon lang ito ng access sa whereabouts ni Alice Guo and she decided to sell that information.